15 tricky questions that will give your brain a great workout. Do you ever just sit around and feel like you really need to train your brain a little? I mean, your job gets you exhausted, but your brain isn't tired. You need to answer a tricky question or perhaps figure out a good riddle. Well, you've come to the right place. Training your brain should be taken pretty seriously. It can benefit you and your health in the long run. So, from time to time, it's smart to take a break from social media and turn to a good set of intriguing, brain-busting questions. Number 1. Here's the first question to test your airplane knowledge. According to IATA, International Air Transport Association, these two passengers must not sit together in the same row in the airplane. Who are these two passengers? Think about it. Take some time. All right, ready for the answer? It's cats and dogs. I mean, that's a pretty tricky question, but at the same time, I guess it's kind of common sense, right? Good job. Number 2. Moving on from airplanes to buses. Here is the next tricky question to warm up your brain. A group of women decide to go on a local bus. The bus is not crowded at all, yet they still all decide to sit at the back. Why would they do that? This one is not as obvious. If you're pretty cultured, you'd figure that you're in Iran, where small kids and women have to sit in the back of the bus. Tricky question that definitely makes you itch your head. Number 3. History knowledge is not required for this tricky question. In 1445, the church bells in Moscow started ringing all at the same time on their own. The people believed that they were facing an apocalypse. The same thing happened in 1091 in Kiev, and again in 1802 in Moscow. What do you think was the reason for the doomsday? Think about it logically. All right, ready for the answer? Earthquake is the answer. Number 4. Okay, this is a pretty tricky question, but if you take a deep breath, turn off your phone, and focus, you're sure to figure it out. Ready for it?
Oh, yeah!
What is easy to get into, but difficult to get out of? Take your time. The answer is more obvious than you think. All right, here's the answer. It's trouble. Yeah, trouble. Some of you might be thinking, why didn't I think of that? Number 5. This tricky question is another example of the answer being simple and fairly obvious, but really think logically about this one and you're sure to get it fairly quickly.
Well,
what flies without wings and cries without eyes? Is it a bug? A plant? Keep thinking. All right, here's the answer. It's a cloud. Number 6. If you're known as the person in your friend group to know all these random facts, then I'm more than 99% sure you'll know the answer to this question. Back in the day, tail docking was pretty popular in Europe, regardless of what the dog breed was. Why exactly was that? If you haven't gotten the slightest idea, then take a guess. Was it because it was just a popular thing to do? Nope. It was because back in the day, dog owners were taxed based on the length of their dog tail. So the less of the tail, the less you had to pay. Number 7. Okay, take a look at this photo. Here are 6 cups in front of you. 3 out of the 6 are filled up. By touching just one glass, how can you make all of them alternate between full and empty? The image is meant to help you, or just make things more confusing. But the answer isn't as difficult as you may think. Ready for the answer? Essentially, you pour the juice from the second glass into the 5th one. Visualizing it helps understand it a little better. Number 8. If you've been on a roll with all these tricky questions so far, try answering this one. If a plane crashes on the border between the United States and Canada, where do they bury the survivors? Is it Canada? Is it the United States? Well, actually it's neither, because we typically don't bury survivors. That question was more of a case of paying attention to detail. I don't know about you, but I totally missed that one.
Yeah.
Number 9. A 10-foot rope ladder hangs over the side of a boat. The bottom rung is on the surface of the water. The rungs are about 1 foot apart, and the tide goes up to the rate of 6 inches per hour. How long will it be until 3 rungs are covered? All right, this one might be one of the trickiest questions asked thus far. Take a minute to think long and hard about this. The answer is easier than you think. The correct answer is never. The boat rises as the tide goes up. Tricky question. Number 10. You are so invested in figuring out the tricky question, you don't realize that the answer is more obvious than you ever imagined. But that's completely normal. Here's an example of that. A man dressed in all black walks down a country lane. All of a sudden, this large black car that does not have its lights on comes around the corner and screeches to a complete stop. How on earth did the car know he was there? Well, guys, it was daytime. Number 11. A truck driver is going down a one-way street the wrong way and passes at least 10 cops. Why is he not caught? This is considered a tricky question, but common sense is definitely involved. Again, just as with the other tricky questions, once you have the answer, you'll be shocked at how you didn't get it beforehand. The answer is that the man wasn't even driving. He was walking on the sidewalk. Yep, obvious, yet not so obvious. Number 12. All right, back to some tricky questions on random facts. These aren't always so easy to guess, but when you do guess them correctly, it's pretty satisfying. This river in Oregon, United States was in the Guinness World Records as being the world's shortest river at 440 feet, 130 meters. The name of the river starts with the letter D and is considered the shortest river name as well. Do you know what it's named? I'll give you a guess. The answer's easier than you think. If you guessed D, river, you are correct. Number 13. According to astronauts, when you are looking from outer space, riverbeds look very similar to the circulatory system of a living organism. Coincidentally, during World War II, doctors would use a certain water instead of blood plasma. What kind of water was this? This might be a tricky question, but if you think of different well-known waters, it might be easier than you thought. The correct answer is seawater. They would use it to save lives when they ran out of medical supplies. Number 14. All right, here's a tricky math question, but if you really think about it, it's not so mathematic after all. You go to the doctor and he gives you 3 pills. The doctor tells you that you are to take 1 pill every half hour. How long would it take you before all the pills had been taken? Well, you take the first pill right away, then half an hour later, you take the second pill, and then a half an hour later, you take the third. So in total time spent, it's an hour. Pretty simple, right? Number 15. Here's another tricky math question for you. But really, it's just common sense. If you have a bowl with 6 apples and you take 4 away, how many do you have? At first, you might think it's just a simple subtraction question and you have 2 left. Wrong. The answer is you have 4 because you took 4 apples, right? Don't worry, I didn't get it right away either. That's embarrassing. So, how did you do? If you have any more brain teasers or trick questions that you think belong on the list, let us know by commenting below.
Enjoyed this video? Hit like, share, and subscribe to What the Facts. Wait, why don't you fact off with these other awesome videos? Go ahead, choose the left or the right video and enjoy.